The honourable member for Courtenay-Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague for her really important speech. And Mr. Speaker, with a warming climate, we're seeing the impacts of climate change, raging forest fires, flooding. We've seen other types of natural disasters. And in fact, in my home province last year, over 350 military personnel had to show up in the interior to actually fight forest fires. And we saw what happened to Lytton, BC. Now, I really believe it's time that Canada provides not just the manpower to tackle climate emergencies, but also the proper equipment and technology. In the U.S., it's common practice for them to use C-130s, CH-47s, and Blackhawks to actually support aerial firefighting capacities, and we're not doing that here in Canada. We've got a company in my riding, Coulson Air. They're supporting the Argentine military, Chilean, the Bolivian, and the Americans and the Australians. Yet Canada isn't doing that. Can maybe my colleague speak about, and does she believe that the Canadian Armed Forces are not well equipped to deal with these natural disasters here in Canada? And that there are going to be further demand with a warming climate. And what does she agree that there needs to be improvements that should be made so that the Canadian Armed Forces are able to respond to these incidents here in our own country?
The honourable member for Saint-Jean. I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. It's a very interesting question that we should study because indeed there will be ever more extreme climate events in the future. And so we have to ask ourselves, well, who should respond and intervene? Is it systematically regular forces that are best equipped? Well, perhaps the answer is no, and perhaps we should think about an alternative model. For example, a natural disaster militia, if you will, that could work in a paramilitary way. People who are less interested in combat and the more martial side of the army to be more interested, just like the Rangers are, more interested in this kind of intervention. They could be trained for natural disaster response. This could be an idea for the future, and we will study this.